Well, good morning, church.
Good morning.
I don't know if it was y'all timing off, but then, there's a lot more people, and I know if we told these kids to scream and say one other thing, they could blow y'all out the door by themselves. So we're going to work on our timing first, and we're going to all say it together, okay? I'm going to say good morning, church, and then I'm going to go. And on the third finger, that's when y'all say it together. You ready? Good morning, church.
Good morning.
All right. Counting is kind of, we're just going to throw that out the window. So we're going to all together. As soon as I say good morning, then y'all going to say good morning. Are we ready? Ready. I didn't say it. Have you already said it? Join in. Can you participate? Okay. Ready?
Yes.
Good morning, church.
Good morning.
Stand in the corner, man. I'm not going to continue to make everybody suffer because Matt will not follow instructions. Welcome everybody to God's Worship Center. Amen. Amen. No matter how long I've been doing this, no matter how long God will continue to let me or allow me to do this, I'm never not amazed. I'm never not amazed at everything that He does every day for us and around us. Whether we notice or not, God's presence is there. And he tries to give us things, and He tries to guide us in certain ways, in certain directions. And sometimes it's almost like we're so preoccupied with other things that He almost has to hit us in the face with a brick to say, hey, here I am. I'm trying to give you this. We have people, friends, what have you, loved ones that have suffered from these storms. And everybody was so down in the dumps about these storms, and everybody thought that the devil himself must have had to draw these storms up here so it could destroy everybody's things. I'm by myself in this. But listen, the God that I serve can take those storms and say, you know what, we're wiping away all of this crap. Get ready to be renewed. Get ready to be regained. Get all of this stuff brand new again. It doesn't have to be a disaster. It can be moving this old stuff out of the way and get ready for all of this new stuff. Amen. Give God the opportunity to rebuild you. Amen. Give God the opportunity to say, you know what, last week, whatever, when you was working your heart out on that Sunday to try to make sure that you can keep your things, I still love you. When you was worshiping that car, because you figured you couldn't go to church because you had to give your car back. When you was out there washing that car and worshiping that car, I still loved you. When we always take and put God on the back burner, He still loves us. So every time we try to take and give the devil the credit for a lot of this stuff, let's start thinking and give God more of the credit. Let's not think of it as a storm. Let's think that He's preparing us to be renewed. He's preparing us to rejuvenate us. He's preparing us to be just overwhelmed with the many, many blessings. The tornado hit my house. Thinking, oh wow, would I be down in the dumps? Probably for a day or two until the contractors and everything start coming out there getting ready to build my new house. That has absolutely, I don't know, I just felt led to do that. If you have your Bibles, open up to the book of John. I'm going to start reading in chapter 13. I'm going to read it as much as this as God allows me. And then we'll just go from there. Book of John, chapter 13, verse 1, it says, Now before the feast of the Passover, when Jesus knew that His hour was come, that he should depart out of this world unto the Father, having loved his own which were in the world, he loved them unto the end. And the supper being ended, the devil, having now put into the heart of Judas Iscariot, Simon's son, to betray him, Jesus, knowing that the Father had given all things into his hands, and that he was come from God and went to God, he riseth from the supper and laid aside his garments, and took a towel and girded himself. After he poured water into the basin, and he began to wash the disciples' feet and to wipe them with the towel wherewith he was girded. Then cometh he to Simon Peter, and Peter said unto him, Lord, dost thou wash my feet? Jesus answered and said unto him, What I do thou knowest not now, but thou shalt know hereafter. Peter said unto him, Thou shalt never wash my feet. Jesus answered him, If I wash thee feet not, thou hast no part with me. Simon Peter said unto him, Lord, not my feet only, but also my hands and my head. Jesus said to him, He that is washed needeth not save to wash his feet, but is clean everywhere, and ye are clean, but not at all. For he knew who should betray him, therefore he said, Ye are not all clean. We're going to get there in a minute, y'all, bear with me. So after he had washed their feet, and had taken his garments and was set down again, he said unto them, Know ye what I have done to you? Ye call me Master and Lord, and ye say, Well, for so I am. If I then, your Lord and Master, have washed your feet, ye also ought to wash one another's feet. For I have given you an example, that ye should do as I have done to you. Verily, verily, I say unto you, the servant is not greater than his Lord, neither is sent greater than that sent him. If ye know these things, happy are ye, and ye do them. I speak not of you all, I know whom I have chosen, but that the scripture may be fulfilled, he that eateth bread with me hath lifted up his heel against me. Now I tell you before it come, that when it is coming to pass, ye may believe that I am he. Verily, verily, I say unto you, he that receiveth whomsoever I send receiveth me, and he that receiveth me receiveth him that sent me. When Jesus had thus said, he was troubled in spirit, and testified and said, Verily, verily, I say unto you, that one of you shall betray me. Then the disciples looked one to another, doubting him who he spake. Now there was a leaning on Jesus' bosom one of the disciples whom Jesus loved, Simon Peter, therefore beckoning to him and said, he should ask who it should be of whom he spake. Then he, lying on Jesus' breast, said unto him, Lord, who is it? Jesus answered and said, He it is, to whom I shall give a salt when I have dipped it. And when he had dipped this salt, he gave it to Judas Iscariot, son of Simon. Verse 27 says, And after the salt, Satan entered into him. Then said Jesus to him, that thou doest quickly, or that thou doest quickly. Amen. Stop right there for a second. So let's go and do a little platform here. Because we've heard what Brother Michael and Sister Rachel and everything was saying, and this is where it kind of all ties in together. Because here we have the setting where everybody's sitting around Jesus, and all the disciples and everything, and they're all of the people that have followed Jesus and told him every single step of the way, Master, Master, I love you. I'm going to follow you, each and every last one of them. When Jesus was trying to teach them something, and he told them, after he taught them something, to follow me. Okay, Judas was none of that. He followed Jesus for however period of time, but yet still, if you were paying attention at the beginning of it, it said, Jesus knew that Satan had laid it on somebody's heart to betray him. But yet and still, Jesus continued to go on. He continued to go on with everything that he was supposed to be done. Because not only was he thinking about all of us and the debt that he had to pay for us, he was also thinking about the fact that the scripture had to be fulfilled. So the Bible was telling us that when Jesus had said, I know who will betray me, and everybody in there got to looking around and was becoming real nervous, and they said that, well, we got to figure out who are we seeing in Jesus to where Jesus can tell them and then we'll know. Well, first of all, if Jesus was sitting right here in this room, and Jesus said, one of you in this room will betray me. Okay? I ain't trying to be a smart addict, but if you don't know who it is, you should know whether it's you or not. Right? We should know one way or another if it's me that is already planning on, because the devil is laying it on my heart. If it's me that's going to betray Jesus, I should know. Same thing about our salvation.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
When Jesus come back and said, I come to get my church, you should know whether you're part of that church or not.
That's right.
I guess I'm not myself.
That's right.
So the Bible says that Jesus said that when I take this salt, I guess that was a piece of bread or what have you that he was dipping into some broth, he said, I'm going to take this salt and I'm going to give it to him. Don't you know that Judas knew already that his plan was going to go in motion for that money? That he was going to betray Jesus, because the Bible said now Satan had already entered into him. He's like, well, preacher, why are you preaching this message? It ain't Easter. It ain't even April. Well, God's message don't have a season, first of all. Secondly, God laid this on my heart to tell us all, not only you, I'm not pointing fingers, but me too, that just because this precious book was written 2,000 plus years ago or what have you, that doesn't mean that Satan has stopped trying to get into your heart. That doesn't mean that Satan has stopped trying to corral your spirit together. That doesn't mean that Satan is going to stop putting them stumbling blocks in front of you. Sometimes we wake up on Sunday morning and go, oh man, I am so tired. I just really don't want to go to church. And that preacher going to get up there and he's going to call himself, going to talk about me. And he's going to say a whole bunch of stuff that I don't like. I just ain't going.
Hello.
Can I tell you that over these years, Satan has changed his tactics some? Satan is going to be the one that say, oh, well, what does he know? You saved. Just because you take a drink every once in a while. Just because you told that lie day before yesterday. Just because you're addicted to pornography or whatever your vice is. Just because you did these things, how dare him tell you that you're not saved?
Yes, sir. Come on.
Well, it ain't just me saying it. You got to look into the Bible. The Bible says that if you do those things, that you're just as lost as day old bread. Amen? If you don't know Jesus, if you don't have him inside of me, because the Bible says he takes all things away. He said that passed away. He said, behold, I make all things new. So what that means is you don't want to take that drink no more. You don't want to open up that porn site that you've been looking at for the last 6 months. You don't want to do these things no more. Because Jesus has made you a new creature.
Amen.
Therefore, when Brother Michael or anybody else has said if you were to die today, where would you go? It wouldn't take 2.5 hot seconds to say, I'm going to be with my Jesus. Because not only is he with me every day, amen, when I pass out of this body, I'm going to be with him. And one of these days, if I ever earn the smallest little bit of crown, if it's just big enough to put on this big toe, I'm going to say, Jesus, stick it up, because it may be here come.
Yes, sir.
Jesus says we're his. We belong to him. Body of Christ, right? That means he needs us, hands and feet, body of Christ, to do something. Amen? What's that song? Can't do nothing, just sitting up in that pew. Here we go. Stick your toes out, because here they go. We talk all kinds of times about Sunday saints and Monday ain't. So it's like this. What that song means is, you can come in this church every single Sunday, sit there up here on the front, right here beside me. It don't make you no savior. Can sit up front, can sit way in the back. You can go over there and hang it. And so I showed up at church. That's what a lot of these big old churches are for. They play on your vanity. So can I say this, and please don't get mad at me, what if the devil put those churches out there to make you say, hey, you know what, I've been in church, I throw my $20 in that bucket, so I'm saved, I'm okay, one of these days I'm going to heaven. What Jesus say? We can sit here and be comfortable and complacent and just think we got this whole world together. But then that Holy Spirit going to tug it at your heart. He said, get up, proclaim Jesus' name, wave your hand, shout, say glory, something, and you sit down there, you're being disobedient.
Preach on, brother. Preach on.
I know it can stop me. We don't do things like they do over in the Baptist church. Yes, I pick on denominations or whatever all the time. Here again, in this book, nowhere does he say you have to be a Baptist, Protestant, holiness, whatever. He said your spiritual growth is what's important. It don't matter if you go to the First Church of God on West Main Street. It don't matter. It don't matter if you go to 12 Stone. It don't matter if you go to Free Chapel. Yeah, the church may be worth $20 million, but the pastor may not be worth 2 cents. If you can't be fed, in this $3 million building, that ain't where you belong.
That's true.
If you can be fed in a cardboard box somewhere, that's where you need to go. It don't have to be a 4-story building and it costs you $135 to get in. It don't have to be a building and you standing up here in front of a man that's going to 1099 you. Or if you want to be a member, I need to know how much you make a year. And check this out, Brother Michael. They say that if you don't pay your tithes in order, at the end of that quarter, you get an invoice. I wish a preacher would send me a bill. But see, here again, that's Satan's way of trying to keep these preachers, these supposedly men of God, trying to keep their heads away from the Spirit, away from God's Word, and saying, hey, I'd rather have your money to put in my pocket than I would you have me saved. This building costs money. We rent it, we don't own it. Don't get me wrong. By no means am I going to say, everybody, we don't need all of your help. We do. But if God see fit to take us out of this building and send us somewhere else, that's where I'll go. Your salvation is the most important thing to me. Making sure that God's Word is what's feeding you is the most important thing to me. It don't matter if there's 2, it don't matter if there's 22. God's Word will not return void because He said it would. It's not because Andre or Brother Patrick said it. It's because God said it would. And if we think about this, now, here again, we have a disciple. He's walked hand in hand with Jesus. He's been involved with collecting the money and going to buy things, you know what I'm saying, that the disciples needed as far as food and clothing and stuff like that. So you can say that he was a trusted servant of Jesus Christ. But old Satan slid in there. All he needed was that little crack. And he found his greed. He found that brother's greed, and then he slid in there. And he started manipulating his thoughts and started talking and trying to get on his spirit and say, hey, you know what? people over there gonna give you 30 chunks of silver. That's more money than you've seen at one time in your life. If he truly is the Son of God, he ain't gonna die no way. So why not just go and collect that money? Because whether they put him in jail or whether they send him over there, you need to be rich, brother. You need to be rich. See, this is the devil playing on that greed. Because a lot of us would much rather show some type of prestigious status and say, oh, I go to the First Church of God, the Latter-day Saints and all that. But they ain't thinking that Brother Joseph Smith in 1985, when he claimed he saw Jesus in the woods, come on now, the Bible told, was Moses, Abraham, Moses, I think he said, if you look upon my face, surely you'll die. Moses. So what makes Brother Joseph Smith more important than Moses? If God himself told Moses, if you look upon my face, you'll die. But yet still, I'm supposed to believe that this dude named Joseph Smith was sitting in the woods minding his own business and said, God and Jesus just came up to him. It's called the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, this Mormon thing that they just came out with. Satan's found out a different way to get to Christians. Satan ain't gonna stop. Even though, how many have read the back of the book? Everybody read Revelations? Okay. So we've read what's gonna happen. And the back of the book tell me that God is gonna win either way. So why would we believe anything else? Because see, old Slewfoot keep creeping around thinking, you know what, if I get more of them on my side, then we're going to overthrow God. Because he loved them so much that he done gave up everything once. I wonder if he's going to give up everything again. You got Jesus Mandela, whatever this crackhead in Miami, said that he was better than Jesus.
Oh, yeah. You always said it.
Not going to get all the way back on that again, but this is the thing. He has over 100,000 followers. I think it's safe to say that the devil got 100,000 followers. Jesus said in this passage, he says, the servant is not greater than his master. And Jesus said, I'm no greater than the one that sent me. But this Joseph, whoever dude, Jesus, whatever he calls himself Jesus sometimes, he says he's greater than everybody. He says he's greater than Jesus, God. We was talking about the word a while ago. In the book of Genesis, he said, in the beginning, it was I and the word. Did he not? So he was saying it was me and Jesus. Do we worship the Bible? No, we worship Jesus. But see, a lot of Jesus' instructions are in that Bible. Say, well, how can we save God from Satan just wreaking havoc on our minds? Wreaking havoc on our souls or our hearts? Can I say, we serve the kind of God that will take all of your troubles. He will take all of your greed. He'll take all of your pain and anguish if you give it to him. You don't have to worry about little Audrey. Give it to Jesus. Because I got to tell you something. When my mother was pregnant with me, she prayed and prayed and prayed and prayed. She said, God, if you just let me have a healthy baby. She said, I don't know how, but I'll try my best to figure out some kind of way to give it back to you. She said, I just want a healthy baby boy. I was born. Did I get into my troubles? Yes. Did I stray so far away from Jesus I thought he wouldn't recognize me? Absolutely. But one day he grabbed me and he said, here I am. He said, you're mine and I'm yours. I ain't looked back ever since.
Yeah.
So when the devil tell you he can't, Jesus will tell you you can.
Yeah.
So when the devil will tell you you will never, Jesus will tell you I've already done it. When the devil will tell you that you ain't good enough, Jesus will tell you I died for you.
Yes, sir.
these Mormons, and I know I'm kind of sort of all over the place, but as long as God keep giving it to me, I'm going to keep giving it to you. These same Mormons, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, you know, they came by my house the other day. So I started chopping it up, but just a little bit before I let them make me a little bit upset. Because they told me that, the guy told me, I said, well, you know, how did Joseph Smith see God and not die? How did he see God and wasn't alive? I said, because God, you know, if God said, if you look upon my face, surely you'll die. Here come this little Chinese dude. Couldn't have been no older than, say, 20. Put his arms around. Oh, come on, man. Come on. Oh, come on, man. I've actually done my research and you're wrong. I said, really? Slammed the door in his face. I'm not perfect. I'm telling y'all the truth. I slammed the door in his face because the Bible tells us that consorting with them is just as good as consorting with the devil. Amen? So I slammed the door in Satan's face. Amen. And he left this little card, and it says like Exodus chapter 11, 31. Well, it was said that God spoke to Abraham, something I forget, I'm sorry. But it says he spoke to him as if face to face. See, what this little Chinese dude forgot, and when Satan was able to jump in, he didn't see God spoke to him face to face. It said as if face to face. That means this dude did not talk to Jesus. He did not talk to God face to face. Because God said, if you look upon my face, surely you will die. So Joseph Smith must be righteous. Amen? He got to be the only person on this earth that was ever born of a woman that's better than all y'all. Me included. You can't be fooled. All throughout the Bible, if you're catching up on the reading, Paul said, I will not have you be ignorant, brother. Yeah. Jesus said, I will not have you be misled. Jesus said himself, he said, many will come to you in my name and say that I'm in the wilderness. He said, don't go there because I'm not there. Right. He didn't say nothing about be stupid, fall for anything. But what he did say was try the Spirit. If you have any questions, try the Spirit. If what Brother Andre is up here preaching, if you can't agree with it, look it up in the Bible. Amen. If it's not there, I ain't preaching. Amen? Amen? Because the Bible, Jesus is telling us, he said, listen, if it doesn't fall in line with the Bible, it's not for you. For whatever reason, Judas let Satan find that crack. He slid in and he grabbed it. He wreaked havoc. Just like he will in our lives. Just like he will with his flesh. Because we want to do things or we want to experience things and we call them fun, but let's be honest, it's just downright sinful. Because that's what you see and want. That's what your flesh wants. That's what Satan wants you to do. And see, the first couple of times when you do give in and you do it, he's going to tell you that it's okay. Nobody will know. Ain't nobody seeing you. Is it wrong if nobody see you? Is it wrong if doesn't anybody see you? Is it wrong if nobody see you? Bible says, God has every hair on my head count. The Bible says it's numbered. Yeah, absolutely. The Bible says that he knows us better than we know ourselves. So for everything that you think you've done in the dark, but the Bible says things that are done in the dark will be brought into the light. So don't think that we're going to slide by one of these days and keep on doing them little sins that we sweeping up under the rug. And then when we get in front of Jesus, we're going to say, Jesus, you know what? I preached your message, or I led so many people to you. But he's going to say, oh, wait a minute. What about this sin and this sin and this sin? Next thing you know, your hands and your feet will start telling on you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
That's how it works. Amen. They're going to bear witness against you. Body parts, elbow, yeah. He told me to push that button. Thankfully, he told me to push that button to open up that site. Yeah, it didn't enter, but he told me to. Bottom line, what I'm gonna do. Y'all got a couple songs ready? Okay. But bottom line, this is it. This is the whole kit and caboodle of this message. Jesus don't want you to be fooled. And above everything else, everything that he went through, to lay down his life in ransom for ours. Amen? Everything that he did to make sure that you had the opportunity to be able to go and spend eternity in heaven. He doesn't want you to be ignorant. He doesn't want us to fall for anything. And everything that we could have questions about is in the Bible. And he answers you threefold on most occasions. So I'm gonna leave this question, I guess, on your heart. How can you be fooled? How can we go for fried ice cream when every single answer to every question is here? And you know the cool thing about it? The ones of us that's lazy, you can Google it.
That's true. Amen.
Because there's more people that have taken the time to try to pick apart the Bible. Okay, prime example. Let me see if I remember the story right. This theologian, or theologist, whatever, dude that studied the Bible. He studied the Bible, but he didn't believe in God. Who has their Bibles with them? Show you a trick. Alright? Open up your Bibles to the 46th Psalm. It's going to blow your mind. Because see, this guy, he told everybody and he prompted everybody. He said, okay. He said, all of y'all believe that God inspired all of these people to read the Bible. He said, I'm going to tell you that you're wrong. He said, well, William Shakespeare wrote the book of Psalms. And when he was getting ready to finish it, that's a whole other story right there, and I'll explain it. He said he was 46 years old. So if you go to the book of Psalms, 46th chapter, if you count 46 words from the front, it'll end up on shaking. Come on, somebody do it. Anybody seen it? It's in the King James Version. Verse number 3. Okay, now go to the very last word and count 46 letters or words backwards. Somebody holler out when you got it. Tell me the word when you got it. Spirit. So, this guy took all of this time to try to take and study the Bible, word for word. Had his little magnifying glass. It probably took him about 60 years. He identified every single word, and that's the only thing that he could find was a loophole. And he created this whole story. He said, see, King James, oh wait, he had a whole thing about him. See, King James told all of them when he sanctioned them to write the Bible that they couldn't put their own names in. Because he wanted all credit for the Bible. Where in those words does it say praise King James? Okay, we're going to shoot holes in it. And there's more than 46 chapters in the book of Psalms, right? So how could it be when he finished the book of Psalms, he was 46 years old, so in the 46th Psalm, he wrote his name. I said all that to say this. The devil is trying his best. He will go through every single word of that Bible to open up that doubt in your mind, to open up that doubt in our spirit. And that doubt is that crack that he can get in. Give it all to Jesus. If you give it all to Him, you have nothing to try to safeguard by yourself. If you submit to Him, you're not even your own. So you don't have to worry about it. Satan can dance around all he wants to, he can't win. Amen? Sister, y'all come on, please. As they get ready to sing us another song, that's the closest of my message. I believe God, I went as far as God wanted me to go. And I said it several times, I do like getting nervous. I get a little beside myself sometimes every time that I preach. And it's not because I care. And I'm not trying to be rude, but it's not because I care what you think about me. It's because I care about what God thinks about me. I want to be obedient, and we all should. Give it to God. When you give it to Him, you don't have to worry about it. But I can tell you that if every time you bring that issue to Jesus, you lay it at His feet, and then when you pick it back up and you take it with you, I can guarantee you every single time it gets heavier and heavier. One of these days we're going to realize we can't fix it by ourselves. When we put it there, we're going to leave it there. This altar's open. All the time, it never closes. But for whatever reason, if the Holy Spirit is telling you to come and lay it down, please do so. If you're married, somebody give me a nudge and I'll do the funky chicken or whatever, if that's what it takes. Get all eyes on me, that way you can go ahead and slip down here and do what you need to do. But this little, some people call it the walk of shame. I call it the walk of glory, brother. Amen. Altar's open. Follow the obedience of the Holy Spirit. Amen. God. Praise Him.
spirit that's been attacking her is going to be defeated right now in the name of Jesus. I guarantee the devil's not you. You got some power for you right now. You're going to feel this today. Hallelujah. From the top of your head to the soles of your feet. Praise Jesus. Hallelujah. Devil, you're a liar and follower all lies. I ask you to grant this young lady her heart's desire today. To know, to defeat, to rejoice in the Lord. In Jesus right now. Jesus. Glory. 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 Let the Spirit bear witness. Hallelujah. 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 Be gone. Be gone. And Jesus restore. Right now, God. Oh, Lamb of God, Lamb of God. She kind of right now, Jesus. Go forward. Make a way right now, God. Make a way of escape for her, God. To walk out deeper. To receive more of the presence right now, God. Touch her, Lord. Move on these prayer requests, God. That her heart is open for, God. Well, yes, God. Yes, God, the love she has for others. Right now, that others can see that the love of God. Jesus, right now. Encourage her, Lord. Encourage her, Lord. Let her light shine brighter. Let this change come that her heart desires for, Lord. Lord, right now, Jesus, I pray. You thanksgiving today. In Jesus' name. Hallelujah. 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 Did you feel that? Thank you. Give her a praise in the house. Come on. It's going to get better. It's going to get better for you. Amen, amen, amen. People going to look and say, what about a hold of you? My. That's what we need. We need that example of God in our life and people can see you. Whatever comes to the house. Praise Jesus. Sure. Hallelujah.
Listen. I want to thank you so much. Thank y'all so much for coming. I've enjoyed the singing. I've enjoyed the preaching. You know what a wise man once told me? He said, if you don't even like your own preaching, something wrong. Amen. I don't want to leave without making sure that I've given every opportunity.
Yes, sir.
For you to be able to come down to these steps, altar, whatever you want to call it, and just really pour your heart out to Jesus. Like we were saying earlier, a lot of times it becomes a little bit easier to bring the problem down here, but the hard part is to leave it. Yeah. And I'm telling you, this is somebody that thought that they could fix their own problems all their own ways half of his life. It gets heavier every single time. And then we go, oh, well, God, this is a burden that I can't bear. He told you that months ago. If you couldn't fix it then, what makes you think you're going to be able to fix it now? He said, he told us, he said, take my yoke upon me. He said, because my burden is easy. His load was light. So therefore, if we give it to him, it's still going to be light for him, but it's like a ton of bricks on us, right? So why don't we keep trying to fix it? Just give it all to him. So I'm going to do it like this. Everybody in here has every opportunity to stop. If there's something you want to say, something you want to do, have at it. There's something that you just want to say right now, even if you want to tell God that you love him, that's your prerogative. I want to make sure that I don't miss an an opportunity for somebody, and I'll be that stumbling block. So it say, oh, well, he closed the service, I didn't get a chance to say something. Well, here's your chance to say something. Amen? Hearts and minds clear? That's your heart. We'll see y'all soon. Dismiss.